Welcome back to What Arty Noobs with General Disturbance. This is a Manticore. It's a tier 10 British light tank. It's located on the north spawn of Prokhorovka and it's under the command of the BassmanFromHell. Yes, he sent us in another replay of one of his favourite light tanks in the game. It is actually pretty astonishing, actually. The stats alone are worthy of consideration. It only carries 20 rounds of ammunition. It's only got 2 crew, commander and the driver, and the commander has to do a lot of work, not just the actual gunnery as well, but he also has to do the loading. So he's just about every other job, and that's why this thing has such a very poor reload time. It's mainly down to the fact that it is overworked. Well, he managed to make it up to the centre, but he did knock a tree over. He has spotted some enemy tanks already, but this is quite a perilous position, mainly because you might get spotted by the enemy. He's just spotted a Leopard 1 going up onto the light tank's position, trying to see where our team are. He did manage to get here in time, but he knocked the tree down, and that would give most players a clue that there's somebody in residence. That's the problem with having these trees, where you accidentally hit them and they just fall over. It's like that spotting position that the Leopard went to. If you knock down a tree there to actually give you a bit of better cover, you can actually reveal that you are there. Anyway, it's a 105mm gun capable of 390 alpha. Standard reload time is 13.42 seconds, and said that's mainly down to the fact that obviously the commander's doing every other job. But the standard reload time for Bassman is 12.57, so he's managed to knock a second or so off. 1 mark of excellence on the barrels, working his way up to the 3rd mark. Even with 20 rounds, he can still do a lot with this little tank. It's got fairly good top speed, 68 kilometers an hour, which puts him in the same league as some of the other light tanks with fast speed. I would say like the Black Dog. That's got a very fast speed indeed. If I remember correctly, Black Dog is something like, is it 72 kilometers an hour or 70 kilometers an hour? It's fast. Of course, the fastest light tank in the game is the Panzer 1C. Yep, he's having a look, but he's not going to shoot, because if he does shoot, he'll reveal his position immediately. He did position himself in such a way that he can make a fast getaway if he needs to. Of course, you go faster forwards than you do backwards, and the reverse speed of this little light tank is only 25. So if he parked himself front-in, then he wouldn't pull away as quickly as he did then. Okay, he's decided to do some spotting from the bush. This will allow him to go much further south and spot some of the enemy. Remember, he is a light tank, so he gets light tank camo. So long as he covers his reference points, and he didn't, he did get spotted. The strip was on him like a shot, literally, as soon as he got spotted. But the strip gave away his position the moment he did get spotted by firing, and of course that enables him to get some spotting assist on the strip. Yeah, he got 390 spotting assists, so somebody fired a 105mm round or 122mm round. Of course, because he's tier 10, this is a tier 10 game. Now his job in a tier 10 game, for any light tank really for that matter, is to spot the enemy and enable his teammates to get shots on the enemy. He will take targets of opportunity if he can, but he'd much rather spot, and he's got a spotter badge already for over 1,000 hit points of spotted damage. Notice how he's creeping up through the bushes, trying to cover his reference points. I think he actually popped out of the bush just once whilst he was trying to go through the other line, and at that point the strip saw him, and then a few seconds later he was notified by 6th Sense. Now this was recorded during the 1.8, and he knocked that tree down and then pulled back just in case anybody would fire at the bush or the tree. Nobody has. So maybe they're just not taking into account that a tree doesn't fall on its own in the forest. Or at least it does make a noise when it falls in the forest and it's on its own. It's almost one of those things like, does a bear shit in the woods? How do we know that a bear shit in the woods? I'm sorry, I can keep going like this for hours. Anyway, getting back to the game. He's managed to creep up again on this position, and this position does actually give him a bit of cover. He's just trying to check and see, could that Striv see me if I push forward just here? And I think he might, but he's going to take the risk. Oh, he's good. He's safe. He's safe. He got into it, and that means now he can push south. And that means the enemy are going to get uncovered because they're not seeing him. He's seeing them. Well, at least he will see them very shortly. He's spotting the ones at the center line massively, and he's picking up loads of stun assists. Spotting assist. He's up to 3,000 already. Now he has got to a gap where it might be a problem here. Yeah, he's got the barrel pointing at the end, but there's no reference points on the barrel. The reference point is actually on the where the barrel joins the actual tank itself. It's the reference points that the computer is looking for to see if the front of the vehicle can be spotted by the enemy. Again, in here we can see that he's got the front of the vehicle almost sticking out. I say almost, well, it looks like it is actually sticking out, but not quite. And that's why the enemy couldn't see him, because you can see that hole in the front of his vehicle where he was struck. That was the Striv hole. And he spotted the Striv again, and now he's requesting fire on him. So the Striv was not cautious enough, and that enables him to move forward because the Striv's having to abandon that spotting position. And he can see the guy. Can he take a shot? He actually didn't penetrate, but he did get the shot in. Now he's decided to push and throw caution to the wind, literally out the window, and yeah, he spotted an E100, and now look at these shots are zipping past him at the enemy. He's now got a patrol duty for being the only one spotting 6 enemy tanks whilst they were damaged, and that includes the tanks at the centre line. These enemy are now going to come in for a real hammering, and look at this, is brilliant. This is absolutely excellent. He's spotting tanks way at the back, tanks that wouldn't normally be seen, and there goes the enemy Arty, about chat 155-58. There's still another one out there, a Conqueror gun carriage, but it'll probably find him too. That Jaeger who's taking shots, and he was thinking about putting a round through the side, but he didn't get the chance to. Now he's going to have a quick look at the back. He's got a scout. He's found a Gorilla 15. So that means he spotted 9 enemy vehicles, being the first one to spot them. And the Gorilla's gone. Oh my god, he's really spotting for this team, because look at this, 12,442. He's found the Conqueror gun carriage. Shells are raining in. Where's the kill shot? It's 8-1 now. He's got as close as he dared to that AMX M454. But he's spotting him. He's requesting fire. He might be able to take a shot himself if he's lucky enough. Yes, he can. And he gets a pen. And look at the spotting assist. It's rocketing up. 14.5. You're rarely going to see a game as good as this on spotting. This is huge. This is incredible. 16,000 spotting now. This is an amazing spot. This is a masterclass in spotting. He's actually getting damage on the enemy as well. He's found another one right up on top of the hill. Well, I'm not sure he found that one. I think that one was actually known to the guys on the hill already, but he can spot him. He's now shooting at the enemy on the hill. And he's found somebody at the back. It's a leopard. And he's found another enemy. Oh, look at the shots going in. This is absolutely brilliant. You rarely see this from a light tank. What he's doing is amazing for his team. 18,500. Only 2 enemies left. I think he's going for the spotting record if he can. 18,700. And that's it. The game's over. What a game from the Bassman. That was a phenomenal game for a light tank driver in the Manticore. Well done, Bassman from Hell. He got an ace tanker out of that, and it was well deserved, as well as a spotter badge for spotting at least 1,000 hit points of damage. He did much more than that. A fire for effect for doing more damage than the hit points through his own vehicle. A patrol duty for being the only one spotting 6 enemy tanks whilst they were damaged, and finally got the scout medal for spotting at least 9 enemy tanks, being the only one for first spotting them in the game. And that's what we call the Holy Trinity: spotter, patrol duty, scout. If you get those 3 in a game, then you did a very good light tank job. But if you get it with the ace tanker as well, then you've done a Holy Trinity with ace. That's fantastic. Brilliant game. His win rate was 2,237, but don't let that fool you. He deserved the Super Unicum one for this one because his spotting was amazing. Let's have a look at the details. Well, the highest damage in the game turned out to be the Striv 103B on our own team with 3,898 hit points. Second highest damage went to the Progetto 65 on the enemy team with 3,562. And the third highest damage went to the Minotauro, who managed to get 3,424 hit points of damage. We can see Bassman only picked up 1,537, but he was doing mostly spotting. Rather than actually doing the damage himself, he was picking up the actual damage, spotting damage rather, from his teammates, seeing the enemy and then being able to kill them. So I think he did decide to take some of those shots because he wanted to, and actually to get some damage out of the game, so he actually had a higher win rate. But I'm pretty certain he would have topped over 20,000 spotting if he had actually decided not to, because he was the only one doing the spotting at the time. If we look at the number of kills, we can see it's the Leopard 1 on our team who actually picked up a Confederate and got 3 kills in the game. 2 kills went to the Minotauro and the Object 261, so he was busy. He got a Confederate as well during that game, so he must have had some brilliant spotting. Sir Spooky would have been very, very pleased with Bassman for giving him all that juicy information, and he would have been pumping those rounds out into the enemy, thinking this is fantastic. Great game on spotting. When it came to base XP, he's right at the very top, and look at that, 1,563. That's a high ace. Very, very well played indeed. Let's have a look at detail. He fired only 6 shots, but every shot hit the target, but only 4 of them actually penetrated. I think one of the rounds he fired at the Striv 103B on the enemy team didn't pen. 1,537 hit points of damage, of which 1,131 were at more than 300 meters. So you can see even what he was doing was fairly long range shooting. He received 1 hit. It was from the Striv. It went straight through the front of his vehicle. He did get spotted. He went through a gap and the enemy saw him. But he got out of there quickly, and that enabled him to get this fantastic score at the end of the game. He spotted 11 enemy vehicles as the first person to spot them. 5 enemy vehicles were damaged, 1 was killed, and 744 hit points of spotting assist in that game. That's a phenomenal score. I haven't seen a higher one than that myself in the game, but I've certainly seen a lot of players get very high scores. I believe the highest I've ever seen in something like an ELC M90 was something like 14,000 spotting. So to get 18,744 on a Manticore is brilliant. When it came to credits, he earned 119,384 credits from that game. After repair, ammunition, resupply and consumables took away 87,933 credits profit. 7 bonds because it was tier 10. 2,344 XP. Times 2 for the first victory. The same again from personal reserves took away to 7,033 experience points altogether. What a phenomenal game. Really great. Absolutely brilliant. Let's have a look at the armor profile for this vehicle. Okay, as you can see, it's very, very light armor. 50 millimeters at the front there on the upper plate. Comes out at 55. It's slight angling. 40 millimeters lower plate coming out at 51. 20 millimeters on the top plate there. but again, it's very well angled, so it actually comes out at 25. You can see the turret actually has slightly better armor. This thing does actually have a small amount of gun depression. It's only 8 degrees, so you can go hull down and cover most of this with the ground and just leave the little turret popping up over the top. But if you're using your camo, your light tank camo, the enemy probably won't see you anyway. But even if they were to see you, you'd have to try and hope that they would actually hit the front part of here where it's slightly stronger. You can see the viewports for the two crew in the vehicle. Remember, the commander is actually doing the job of what, 3 or 4. He's also acting as the loader, as well as the gunner, as well as the commander. So the top of the vehicle at the back is only 10mm, just to stop shells and bullets, or stop shrapnel and bullets, I should say. Won't stop a shell, of course. It will go straight through. In fact, that Striv 103B went right through the front of the vehicle there, so it actually had no problem getting through. The engine's up front. It's up on this one. It's right up the front of the machine, and the ammo rack's actually at the back in this one. But let's have a quick look at the live model so you can see where the armor is strongest. Well, yeah, a 105mm round is just going to have no problem carving straight through this thing. So let's have a look at the modules. Okay, that's better. And you can see engine up front, transmission right in front of that. So that will provide some protection for the crew. The driver's on the right-hand side, the commander's on the left-hand side. The radio is in the back of the turret, in the bustle of the turret, so there's no ammo rack up there. But there's the ammo rack right down below, and it's sandwiching the fuel tank. So the commander has actually got to pull these rounds out of here and then shove them into the 105mm breech. The Manticore was a project. It was an oscillating tank. It never actually got built. It was a blueprints only. It would have been called the Chimera 1955, but since there is a Chimera in the game, it didn't get called that. So it was given a new name called the Manticore. A lot of people like it. They think it's really good. I think it's got too few shells, but then if you think about the space you've got there, you haven't got much space for shells, really. You're squeezing yourself into it. It's almost like you're climbing into the womb. So it's not much available for you to play around in. Yes, so it's very, very, very tight inside. So yeah, that's where all the modules are on the Manticore. So congratulations to the Bassman from Hell in that game. Superb. If he carries on like this, he will have 3 marks on his barrel very, very soon indeed. And he'll also get the thanks from most of his team for doing an absolutely fantastic spotting game. It really was absolutely phenomenal. The moment he realised that he'd actually managed to dislodge that Striv 103B, he must have made the mistake of pushing forward, uncovering himself from the bush. And as a consequence, once that guy was gone, Bassman can push forward as fast as he liked and find the enemy at the back. And once he found them, then he was finding the others. Really, really great game. Absolutely excellent. In fact, you have to scroll the page to see all the damage he did. The assisted shots, massive. Only the 1 kill in the game. It was a T110E4, which he managed to get a kill on, and he only picked up 406 hit points of damage off that guy. But yes, I think his actual spotting damage would have been over 20k easily if he decided not to shoot at all. But his win rate would have been much, much smaller, because of course win rate doesn't take into account spotting, only takes into account the actual damage you do. So if he'd actually done no damage whatsoever, his win rate would have been appalling, but his spotting would have been absolutely phenomenal and amazing. Well, it was phenomenal anyways. It was brilliant. It's the sort of wet dream that you normally have if you're a spotter, to have that sort of damage. But I'm sure the Arty guy at the back, the Object 261, was thinking, this is a brilliant game. So much fun. Whenever you get somebody who can spot for you up front, find out where the enemy is, tell you where they are, and then enable you to get some magnificent shots on target. Well, that's a really red letter day. I hope you enjoyed that replay. If you did, please give this video a like. Do subscribe to our channel. Leave a little comment down below because it feeds the algorithm. And thank you for watching.